Hello, Internet. Guess what? My Atlantis ring just came in the mail. Oh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting exactly 20 days for this to arrive, and here it is. I'm going to take it out and check it out in just a moment, but I wanted to give credit to Johanna James, who runs the Funny Old World YouTube channel. I had no idea these existed until I saw her video, and I think it's really interesting that immediately after or right around the time she released that video on February 27th, that game Elden Ring came out. And I've got all these friends who are addicted to the Elden Ring, and here I am, my fucking hippie ass, is ordering the Elden Ring, and it got here. Thank you to Marcia Cormel. Forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. She is the designer and artist of this, who I bought it from out of Quebec. And I sent her an email February 28th, the day after I saw Johanna's video, and it's March 19th. So anyway, I believe these were already made, so I didn't have to wait the full time for it to be produced from scratch. And I went with the regular width titanium ring. Now, there's kind of a debate in the Reiki community over how things like metal, water, crystals affect the flow of energy. I'm not here to make some definitive statement on this does or doesn't work. On Marcia's website, she says that it's the geometry of the ring, not the metal that it's made out of, that's actually giving it its properties. Now, I certainly believe that, but I also know from my own practice, I've put copper plates that are about 3 by 5 inches or so in width and just about that thick on my body as I've given myself Reiki, and that absolutely enhances the energy that I'm feeling come back into me. Now, if I'll have a similar effect with titanium or more or nothing at all, let's find out, because after I take this out, I'm going to run a few experiments and see what my impressions are of it. Okay. All right. It's in this little red velvet bag. It has the Luxor symbol on it, on a little charm and a piece of string. I do like the packaging. And this was $90 with shipping. I'm a necklace and a watch guy. I don't spend money on jewelry, but I'm willing to make an exception. I went to the jeweler to measure my ring size, and hopefully this fits. So it's beautiful, first off. It's kind of heavy. Actually, it doesn't really want to go on my index. My ring, or my middle finger's fighting it a bit. Okay, that works. All right, so I'm not married other than to the game, and if this is the only finger it fits on, that's okay. I mean, can't complain. I got the pinky. No, just a little bit, yeah. And then the pinky there. I'm not even gonna try the thumb, but it's really shiny. I like it. It's exactly what I expected. It has, I believe this is called the Luxor symbol. It looks like a double-ended obelisk with 2 grooves running the length of it, and then another couple right here and right here. And it's got 2 holes. It's got a hole there, and a groove inside of it. So I've been wearing it for about 10 minutes, and so far so good. If anything, I definitely feel a little calmer, a little happier, actually, which is great because I've had a lot to do, kind of frantically running around, and this came in handy to relieve some of that energy. But so far, I haven't been abducted by aliens. I haven't talked to God. Haven't been struck by lightning. Just hanging out. And I can't complain yet. Oh, by the way, one more thing. It weighs 5.5 grams. So, why is it called the Atlantis ring, you might ask? Excellent question. The general take on that is that this is an inherited object. Now, what does that mean? It means what it sounds like. It means that even though they found this in the Valley of Kings in Egypt, the people who have focused on it for longer than I possibly have or could, they don't think this was made in Egypt. They think this was brought to Egypt extremely early on by, wait for it, the Atlanteans. Now, that is where I might lose a lot of you, so don't go yet, okay? I promise, if you're reading the same things I'm reading, if you're doing the same research I'm doing, you're going to find it extremely difficult to reject the notion that civilization rose to a very high level during the Ice Age and then crashed, okay? Now, I can't possibly explain that as well as other people can, specifically Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson. And if you don't know those people, you really need to, okay? As soon as this ends, you go watch these, okay? Lucky for you, I've just went through Joe Rogan's entire fucking library and found every episode that has Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, or either one of them. And here they are, in order. Episode 142, 360, 417, 551, 606, 725, 872, 961, which is a debate with Michael Shermer. That's a really good one. Write down 961 and watch it. You've got 1284, 1543, and 1772. Now, considering I just listed about a dozen episodes that are all 3 hours long, unless you're as obsessed as I am with this, don't spend all of that time watching every single one. If any, watch 961 with Michael Shermer, because that's kind of a roundtable debate where Michael's a skeptic, Joe's moderating more or less, and Randall and Graham are arguing their points. And also, the most recent one, this one was really good. It's the 1772nd episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. Train by day, Joe Rogan by night, all day. If you don't want to listen, if you don't want to watch, that's fine. If you're old school, here's what you do. You read this, and if this doesn't do it, read this, and if this doesn't do it, read this. Okay? This is, what? It's got to be 12 or 1,600 pages of Graham Hancock's life work. And, you know, a lot of people criticize him for a lot of things, several of which he may actually warrant some criticism for. If you don't like his writing, look at his wife's photography, Santha Fella, I believe. I might mispronounce that. But if you just look at their dives off the coasts of Japan and West India and or Sri Lanka, right up in there, just watch, what is it? Underworlds, I think it's called. I could be wrong. This is on Graham's website, if not the depths of YouTube. It's out there. Okay, the evidence for civilization having started a very, very long time before we think it did, it's there. If you're paying attention, you know it's there. And if you know how easily this information is suppressed, skewed, or just outright dismissed, then you're not gonna let that happen as easily to you. Just look at the polygonal walls. If you can explain the polygonal walls, okay, fine. Atlantis doesn't exist. You can't, because it did exist. Boom. Anyway, man, I'm so excited to finally have a little piece of Egypt or Atlantis or just titanium on my finger. And let's get to the experiments. Let's see if I can feel any more or less energy coming off of this ring and from my Reiki with it on and off. Now, if you don't know what Reiki is, it's going to take way too long to explain, and I'm not ready to teach you. So, pause this, figure it out, and then come back. If you already do Reiki or are familiar with it, keep on trucking. Here we go. I'm going to do a time lapse, okay? I'm going to give myself Reiki without the ring. I'm going to give the ring Reiki, and then I'm going to put it on and give myself Reiki with the ring on. Then I'm going to allegedly step off camera, smoke some pot, and do that again so I can feel the energy even deeper. Just so you know, I'm legit. There's no rings on my fingies, and it's right here on the table waiting for me. Okay, let's do this. I just finished the time lapse of giving this ring Reiki with my hands on the desk like this and like this, right? And what's interesting is that I could actually feel the Reiki coming out of this hole or being projected off the tip of that point, as well as the opposite with this one right here. I could feel the energy going from my right hand into this ring and then being projected out like that and like that, which hit my left hand as I was cupping it, right? It felt, excuse the wobbly camera, but I could feel energy hitting the palm of my hand coming from this hole, and then the tip of my fingers like this coming out of that hole. That's really interesting. Other than that, it didn't feel that warm, that cold, that strong. I've got a lot more energy off of crystals. Okay, now I'm going to put it on and then give myself Reiki just how I did before. Okay, so this is really interesting, and it's hard to describe for those who aren't familiar with the practice already, but the best way I can put it is this feels like taking a stream of Reiki and just expanding that into like a river, right? And I was a little distracted counting to 60 in my head in the clip you just saw, but I paused the camera. I did it all again. This is palpable, giving myself Reiki with. This is really interesting. The closest thing I can compare this to was going from having my first attunement and using or practicing with that for about a year and 3 months, and then I got my second attunement, and that immediately upped the amount of chi I could flow. Now, my intuitive guess is that this is opening my meridians a little more than they already have been. And I've been taking my health more seriously, so that's nice. I've been having stronger Reiki in general because of it, but never has a little piece of metal affected it like that. The copper plates are different. Reiki with copper plates, you can almost, you feel it like it's localized where it's enhanced, okay? My copper plates are rectangles, and when I put them on my chest, I feel the Reiki pouring into my chest more where the plate is, where this is actually affecting the Reiki right at the source, right? If it's coming out of the palm of your hand, short of getting a metal implant, you can't get anything closer. I've used gold stone rings in the past, and I liked them, but they broke. I wore them skateboarding. I wiped out. Snap. There they go. This is interesting. I'm going to keep experimenting with this in private, surely, but let's go on to the second phase of these experiments, eh? Okay, experiments over, and I noticed a couple things at the end of the last one. There is a difference with and without this ring. If it's a placebo effect, it's a really good one, because I swear to you, I swear I can feel the energy coming out of this hole and out of the tip of this point. But the difference is, so this hole, it's going out the side, and then likewise on the other side, I guess into these two fingers, right? But in the tip of the obelisk, I can feel that energy going downwards, like that. And you might be thinking, Greg, you think you can feel more energy because now you're stoned. There's no such thing as energy in the first place, buddy. But now you think there is, and you're stoned, and it's even worse, and blah 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. I do stoned Reiki all the time. Okay. Normally, I've got a pretty good bead on the amount of energy pumping out of my palms back into me or whatever I'm feeling out. Today, so without the ring on, when I give myself Reiki out of my left hand at about a distance of maybe a foot or a little over that away, I can feel it mostly hit my face, and it usually does go into my right side here. With this ring on now, not only do I feel significantly more coming out of my hand in the first place, it's hitting my face, being absorbed partially, and it's actually swooping back down and around into my shoulder and the muscles in my back, which is really interesting. I've had some issues with this shoulder in the past, but usually it hasn't felt as palpable reaching across me into my back as it does right now. So I also wanted to cup it in my hands like this and give it Reiki like that for the last part of the video, and I'm really glad I did, because what I felt was, I'm pretty sure, a mix of Marcia's Reiki and my own, and not only that, I noticed how much it didn't really go into it. There's a distinct feeling when something takes energy on, and this didn't give it to me at all. As far as I can tell, it's not broken. There's nothing wrong with it, and from what I know about how metal plays with energy, it makes sense. Just because, okay, so literally, first result on Google I got from TibTech Innovations. It's a big Excel chart, and it's talking about electrical conductivity, resistivity, thermal factors, density, melting temperatures, stuff like that. And your most obvious metals are at the top, and all the way towards the bottom, we've got titanium, right? And the very end of it, we've got mercury and furcalide, whatever that is. But look, titanium's right in there. It's got a 2 and a 4 of whatever 10.E6 Siemens per M is, and 41.7 for electrical resistivity. I'm no scientist, but what this is telling me is titanium doesn't really mix with electricity very much. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think we understand electricity at all. Electricity, consciousness, gravity, electromagnetism, these are some of the greatest mysteries, and we've made amazing strides, but ultimately, who knows?